Two brothers, same city, same year, same college dropout moment. Both decided a degree wasn't worth it and walked into the workforce at 22 with nothing but ambition and a decent Wi-Fi connection. Both landed remote jobs in tech support. Starting pay, $52,000. Same apartment range price, same coffee habit, same streaming services actually. 4 of them, if you count the one they share with their ex-roommate's Netflix. 7 years later, one of them just put a down payment on a duplex. He's renting out one side, his tenant pays most of his mortgage, he checks his investment account the way some people check sports scores, casually, with mild satisfaction. The other one is very busy this week. He just got a notification that his checking account dropped below $200, and he's doing what he always does in that moment, mentally auditing every recurring charge he can remember, which is maybe 60% of them. He makes $71,000 now, more than he's ever made. He feels poorer than he did at 22. My name is Daniel. I study the financial architecture that separates people who feel like they're winning from people who feel like the game is rigged. And today, we're going to follow this second brother, we'll call him John, through every layer of the invisible money leak that almost nobody talks about because it doesn't feel like debt, until it is. John is 22. He's good with money, or at least he thinks he is, because he doesn't have credit card debt. He packs his lunch 3 days a week, and he's read 2 books about financial independence. Take-home pay, $3,300 a month. Rent, $1,100. That leaves $2,200 for everything else. He starts a spreadsheet. He is doing this right. Here's what he puts on the spreadsheet: groceries, utilities, phone, gas, occasional dinner out. He feels good about it. Here's what he doesn't put on the spreadsheet because he doesn't think of it as spending: $14.99 for the music app, $15.99 for the streaming service, $12.99 for the other streaming service, $9.99 for cloud storage, $13.99 for the productivity app he used twice, $11.99 for the fitness app, $6.99 for the news subscription, $4.99 for the meditation app he opens every January. That's $91.92 a month he has not budgeted because each individual charge felt like a rounding error when he signed up. $91 doesn't sound catastrophic, but here's the thing about $91 a month at age 22. If John had taken that $91 and invested it monthly in a basic index fund at a historical 8% annual return, by age 55, 33 years later, he would have $167,000. He didn't lose $91 a month. He lost $167,000. And that's just the subscriptions he signed up for intentionally. The darker number is what he signed up for accidentally: free trials that converted, services he canceled but didn't check whether the cancellation processed, apps that raised their price by $2 without announcement, which, by the way, most of them did in the last 18 months, gym membership he froze but forgot to terminate, annual subscription he renewed without meaning to because the email went to his spam folder. The average American has 4.2 subscriptions they have completely forgotten about. The average monthly spend on subscriptions that people underestimate is $133 above what they guess when surveyed. John thinks he spends about $60 a month on subscriptions. He spends $194. The difference is $134 per month, which is $1,608 a year, which is $53,064 without compounding. With compounding, it's closer to $246,000. He's not aware of this. He has a spreadsheet. 3 years in, John gets a raise to $61,000. He feels the momentum. He upgrades his apartment, same neighborhood, nicer building, $1,350 now. He gets a car. Not an exaggerated one, a lease on a mid-size sedan for $389 a month, because leasing felt smarter than buying a depreciating asset. Let's pause on that for a second. Leasing is not financially neutral. It's a subscription for a car. When John's 36-month lease ends, he will have paid $14,004 and he will own Nothing. If he leases again, which statistically 74% of leasees do, he will have made a car payment every single month of his adult working life and never once had a moment where that payment stopped. The car he's leasing stickers at $34,000. If he had bought a $12,000 used car with cash he'd been saving, here's what happens to that $389. Invested over 30 years at 8%, it becomes $582,000, not as a lottery win, as a boring monthly transfer that he set up once and forgot about. Nobody at the dealership will walk him through that math. The monthly payment sounds smaller than the truth. Now John gets another raise, $71,000 at 27. His take-home jumps to $4,100 a month. This feels like a turning point. He has more money than he's ever had. He starts spending like he has. Here's what nobody tells you about lifestyle inflation. It doesn't announce itself. It's not a decision. It's a drift. The restaurant that was a treat becomes a Thursday default. The vacation that was once a year becomes twice. The apartment that was fine becomes a little cramped now that he's earning more. Economists call this hedonic adaptation. John calls it finally living his life. By 28, his monthly baseline expenses, not including fun, not including anything special, are $3,600. He earns $4,100. His margin is $500. He thinks he's doing okay. He is one car repair away from doing the opposite of okay. Here's the layer nobody names, which is why it keeps working. John gets his groceries delivered. The delivery fee is $3.99. The service fee is $4.50. The suggested tip is 20% on the inflated delivery total. The items themselves are marked up an average of 15% from in-store prices on most platforms. He orders maybe 3 times a week. Conservatively, he's paying $35 to $50 extra per week for groceries he could have gotten for less if he'd spent 45 minutes. Per year, that's $2,000 extra. Over 30 years, invested instead, that's $245,000. He also pays parking near his office because finding street parking is stressful. He eats lunch from the app because the office kitchen situation is unpleasant. He takes ride shares when driving seems annoying. He pays for expedited shipping because he wants the thing Thursday, not Monday. None of these feel like financial decisions. They feel like quality of life decisions. And they are. That's not in dispute. The dispute is what happens when you add them up and then run them forward 30 years. The convenience premium John pays, parking, delivery fees, subscription upgrades, expedited shipping, the tier of app he pays for because the free version has ads, totals approximately $520 a month. $520 a month invested at 8% over 30 years is $775,000. John doesn't feel like he's spending $520 on convenience. He feels like he's a normal person living a reasonable life, which he is. The math doesn't care. John is 29. He's been doing fine on paper. His margin is thin, but it exists. He's not behind on anything. He has about $1,800 in savings, more than a lot of people, less than one bad month of anything medical. Then 2 things happen in the same 90-day window. His cat has a health emergency, $2,200. He didn't know pet insurance was a thing he should have had because nobody mentioned it when he got the cat. He puts it on the credit card, the one he's had since 24, the one that's been at a $0 balance, which he was quietly proud of. 6 weeks later, he has a root canal. His dental insurance covers 50% of basic procedures and 0% of the crown that goes on top of the root canal, which is the expensive part. His out-of-pocket is $1,450. He puts it on the card. His credit card balance is now $3,650 at 24.9% APR. He makes the minimum payment because the math of his month doesn't allow for more. His minimum is $91. Of that $91, $76 is interest. $15 touches the actual debt. At that pace, minimum payments only, it takes 11 years to pay off $3,650 and costs him $6,280. His cat and the crown will end up costing him, in real terms, $6,850. He knows he should pay more, he doesn't have more right now. That's the trap. The time you most need to pay extra is exactly the time you least can. Meanwhile, his subscriptions are still running, his lease is still due, his lifestyle has not adjusted because adjusting it would require admitting something he's not ready to admit. His savings? Zero. Actually, negative once you count the card. He's now running a mental calculation every time he opens the food delivery app. He checks his balance before he opens it, then checks again after he orders, then checks the next morning when he's sober from the dopamine of the delivery and the math feels more real. Let me show you the number that should make you put your phone down for a second. The average American in their 30s who is carrying a credit card balance, a car payment or lease, streaming and subscription overhead, and a convenience premium, not a mortgage, just daily financial friction, is quietly losing $2,100 a month to expenses that produce no lasting asset. $2,100 a month invested over 30 years at 8% is $3.1 million. Not theory, not with some speculative return, historical average of the S&P 500. If John's monthly financial friction, car lease, card interest, forgotten subscriptions, convenience markup, had instead been directed to a boring index fund at 25, he retires a multimillionaire. Instead, at 33, he's just now noticing for the first time how many things are auto-drafting from his account. He is doing an audit. He will cancel 3 things, forget to cancel 2, and feel good about the progress. The other brother, the one with the duplex, didn't do anything genius. He did 3 things. He made a spreadsheet that actually included subscriptions, he bought a used car in cash at 24, and he set up an automatic investment transfer of $400 a month and treated it like a bill he couldn't skip. That's the complete list. There's no secret, there's no complex strategy, there's 1 automatic transfer and 2 unglamorous choices that nobody congratulated him for. The gap between them by retirement will be approximately $2.4 million. The invisible money, the subscriptions, the convenience premium, the minimum payments, the lease cycle, isn't dramatic. It doesn't feel like losing. It feels like living. That's the design. Convenience-free spending is not an accident of modern commerce. It is the product. The one-click purchase, the free trial that auto-renews, the minimum payment that feels responsible, these are engineered to capture as much of your monthly income as possible while keeping you comfortable enough to not audit them. You are not bad with money if you're in this situation. You are the target of an enormous amount of behavioral design executed by people who are very good at it. But here's the only thing that actually matters. You can see it now. Run the audit, not the quick one, the real one, every auto draft for the last 90 days. Add them up, then take whatever that number is and compound it forward 30 years at 8%. What you'll find is a number that was supposed to be invisible. Now it isn't. That's the whole video. If this hit something specific for you, drop the subscription you're canceling this week in the comments. Not as a joke, I actually want to know. And if you want to see the math get better from here, subscribe, because the next video is about building the system in reverse, and it's a lot more interesting once you can see what you're fighting.